You all are trusting me with the next 5 minutes of your life because I can prove who I am. I presented my resume to the event organizers, which suggested that I would tell an interesting and relevant story. And I presented my passport to get on the flight to Zurich, and then to get into my hotel, and then to get a hotel badge, which I flashed to get into the room here today. Indeed, all of these suggested that my name was Dakota Gruener, and every single one of us has gone through a similar process to get here and to get into the room today. If you go all the way back, each one of you was likely issued a birth certificate at birth, which your parents used to enroll you in primary school and to get you access to basic health care. As a result, you grew up healthy and you grew up educated, and eventually you got a driver's license, a credit card, a passport, and then a WEF badge, which you flashed to get into the room today. Indeed, you are here too because someone at each step of the way could trust that you are who you say you are. Now here's the problem. Actually, 3 problems. First, for over 1 billion people globally, what I just described isn't their day-to-day reality. They don't have a birth certificate. And unlike you, they are unable to easily open a bank account, to claim benefits, or to access necessary government services. For 1/7 of the population globally, they live invisibly and without the trust that they need to operate in the society. And I bet that each one of you can recount a story of identity theft or of the sudden panic of a credential that's gone missing. Speaking personally, a few years ago, just after I'd moved to New York from California, I lost my California driver's license. Now, I couldn't go back to California to get the license replaced, and I needed a copy of my California license to go get a New York license. I bet everybody has a story like this. Luckily, I was able to call my mom back in California. She still lives where I was born, and she went to the registrar's office to get a new copy of my birth certificate, mailed it to me, and all was fine. But what if you were like millions of refugees who are unable to do that? They simply can't return to the place of their origin, and the registry in some cases itself doesn't exist. These paper-based systems are increasingly out of step with the digital world in which we live. Third, online, things only get worse. There's an old joke, ran in the New Yorker in 1995, that said, on the internet, no one knows you're a dog. This is, of course, still true. The internet was developed without any mechanism for individuals to prove their identity reliably and in a trusted manner. And the solutions that we've developed over the past decades to plug this hole haven't really fixed things. We've used centralized and siloed systems with the data out of the control of individuals, each of which expose their own set of flaws. These problems may seem disjoint, but I would argue that they are in fact entirely the same. Let me tell you a story to make that case. This is Colin. He panhandles outside my door in New York City. He was born in Brooklyn, grew up in my neighborhood, and served in the Vietnam War. Living on the streets, it's hard to hold on to a wallet. And for the past few years, Colin hasn't had any way to prove his identity. As a veteran, he should be eligible for benefits from the VA, and as a senior citizen, he should be eligible for Medicare. But without an ID, he's excluded from both. This is the risk of exclusion, something that's only becoming more common as digital ID systems become rapidly rolled out all over the globe. And there are also critical privacy concerns. Eager to help Colin and others like him, the City of New York in 2015 implemented a municipal ID program. To offset the risk of exclusion, they intentionally created a very wide list of documents that one could use to apply for the New York City ID program. And they took the bold step of offering a New York City ID to anybody who was a resident, including the over 1 million people who are undocumented immigrants living in the New York metropolitan region. As you can imagine, this boldly inclusive approach to identity almost backfired. When the database supporting ID-NYC, the database containing the scanned copies of individuals' foreign birth certificates, was suddenly of real interest to those concerned with illegal immigration. Even if somebody could trust the City of New York with their personal data, there was suddenly a very, very real risk of that data being turned over. Luckily, the city was very proactive. They deleted all of their data, they fought it in the courts, but I think it shows just how real the risks are, particularly if databases are designed that are siloed and centralized. And it's very, very clear that we need a better approach. These digital identity systems carry significant risk if they're not thoughtfully designed and carefully implemented. And we must weigh both the risks of misuse and the risks of misuse. If digital identity systems are bound by the borders of nation states, of single companies, of single NGOs, they're actually of little utility to individuals right when they need them most. So we need digital ID that is portable, that is user-centric, and that is privacy protecting above all else. So as I conclude, 3 things to remember. The first, the development of digital ID is happening right now. This is incredibly urgent. We need to be paying attention to it today. Second, we need to take these risks seriously. For policymakers, we are at a fork in the road when it comes to digital ID, and we need to very intentionally, very loudly, and very actively put people first. And third, this challenge is enormous, and it's not going to be solved by anybody working unilaterally. We need to cooperate. Thank you.